Hello, Jim 12's here again, and this time I want to talk to you about screen addiction. This is another in my series on my new book, While We Were Sleeping, which you can find on Amazon globally, and a link will be down below. Now, before I get going, just some housekeeping if I may. If you find what we talk about interesting, challenging, please press the like button and please write a comment, good or bad, I don't mind, and I will certainly get to it. And if you would like to support this channel, that'd be great by subscribing. Okay, so today is the 22nd of February 2026, and today I'd like to talk about screen addiction, which is chapter 4 of the book. Now, when we think about when we hear the word addiction, I'm sure all of us think, oh dear, that person who's addicted is in a bad way. It's a pejorative. Everybody, you will say, is addicted to their phone, addicted to their screen. It's become part of life. How can you call it an addiction when everybody's doing it? Well, yes. Just bear with me for a moment. You'll remember George Orwell's book, 1984, when he describes the buildings that the inhabitants are living in have wall-to-wall screens on them with a continuous stream of information being brought by Big Brother into their conscious and maybe subconscious minds. I can never get away from the thought that in 1984 or whenever he wrote the book, earlier than that he wouldn't have known that we could have had screens as big as a wall today, and we do in some of our houses. And also, may I remind you of Neil Postman in 1985 writing a book, the theme of which was we're being entertained to death. So this was a reflection on the advent of TV, and I think that's a very telling phrase, being entertained to death. Are we being entertained to death by our screens? Am I part of that problem that you're now watching the screen? Anyway, I've called it screen addiction. Yes, we can argue about the title, I'm sure. Think about the picture of a mum, typically, with a very young child in a pushchair in a public place. And the often played out scenario is that the mum gives the child her phone, his phone, her phone, and that phone screen, and she'll put a game on or something, that screen pacifies the child. And it seems to be the go-to mechanism for young families who are needing some peace from their children to give their child a screen. And also, the screen can be given as a reward. If you do this, then you can have some screen time. A reward for good behavior. Think about screen time as a moment or a series of moments of a time when we become passive and we simply relax into what the screen is giving us. We become consumers, we become absorbers of the overt messaging and the subliminal messaging of that screen. in contrast, we are not being creative in that moment, are we? We are being passive and being comforted, if you like. We're not exhibiting leadership. We're not taking risks. So creativity, leadership and risk-taking, I would argue, are being stifled because of our screen addiction. Consider the algorithms that go behind the material that we consume on screen. We all know about this, I'm sure. A phrase I came across probably less than a year ago was confirmation bias. If you think of a research situation where you're trying to find something out, but you know what you want, therefore you will go looking for it, and you will probably find it because there's so much information out there. You will find your confirmation bias, and therefore that will reprogram your thinking into assuming that what you found is absolutely the whole truth and nothing but the truth. You've heard the term a filter bubble. So you're in a, if you like, a cocoon, you're in a closed area so that you only hear and see what is being filtered to you, and you don't hear or see anything outside of that narrative. You've heard of the phrase the echo chamber. So what we say, what we consume, we will get more of because the technology is programmed to give us that. Very clever stuff. Another phrase I learned today actually was the information cocoon. I find that a very interesting phrase. How much of what we consume on the screen is actually information as opposed to opinion? And I think there's a dearth of information these days. There is so much opinion which we take in as the source of news, and therefore we assume, subconsciously I think, that that is the facts, the information that we're being fed. And we start to think in the way that that information has, that those ideas or opinions have made us think. So just try it. Try to weed out what is opinion from fact. It's very, very hard. In my chapter 4 in the book, While We Were Sleeping, my friend Lindsay Fuchs, who gives her testimony in this chapter, she refers to a book that changed her life completely. Kevin Leman's book, How to Have a New Kid by Friday, How to Change Your Child's Attitude and Behavior and Character in 5 Days. An audacious title, if ever there was one. How to Have a New Kid by Friday. Anyway, this book was given to her and it became very influential in the way she thinks and the way she parents from now on. So it's definitely a possibility that you don't have to have a child growing up in your house who's addicted to the screen. And I can testify, I've been in our home and I know it is not screen centric. Okay, to wrap up these reflections on screen addiction, how do we respond to somebody who we know is an addict? And maybe they've even admitted that they're an addict to their screen. Well, about a year ago I did a video, episode 51 actually, on addiction, and I found it absolutely liberating. That little bit of research I did for that video, I will put a link to it down below. it opened my eyes to a way of approaching an addict which I'd never thought of. And that is, when somebody is addicted to something, they're being closed off from others, from society. They're becoming isolated. Therefore, the free person, those who think they're freer perhaps, can or should, I recommend, that they should try and initiate getting closer. Now, when somebody is in a bit of a mood because they don't want to be disturbed from their computer games, that's hard. And I know it is. It is very hard. But I don't think there can be gain without pain. And if that pain is brought about because somebody is reaching out in a non-confrontational way, but in an empathetic way, I think that can only bring about good. So anyway, my ramblings on screen addiction. You may agree, totally disagree with some of those things, all of those things. Please put a comment down below and tell me what you think about screen addiction and whether it's an issue that in society we need to do something about. I've also done a piece in the Daily Declaration about screen addiction, and the link will be down there too. That's obviously much longer than I can put in a little video like this. So do have a read, and again, put in some comments on the Daily Declaration if you can. Bye for now, until next time. Bye.